ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a trial video for Identity 5, in which I'm going to try and go over each character I currently have unlocked, dive through their deductions, give my recommended strategies, and what I believe the roles of these survivors to be. As an explorer main, I figured it's only fair that we start with the guy that I use the most. The explorer, Kurt Frank, is what I would call the emphasis of stealth. His skill Explore makes it so that his tracks last for 1 second less, and when he vaults obstacles, the hunters will not receive a sound bubble. Make no mistake, your vaults are not silent. The sound of you rolling across pallets, the grunts your character makes as you pull yourself through windows, all of those sounds are still audible. The thing is, if the hunter happens to have been looking away from you, he won't get that loud bang noise and the sound bubble telling him in which direction that was. He also will not get any pop-ups on his radar or any arrows on his screen. Curiosity is a bit of an interesting one. It seems like a demerit at first. 30% more calibrations and calibrations being 30% harder. Yes, 30% harder calibrations is a bit annoying, but more calibrations? That's actually good. If you can consistently land great or rather perfect skill checks, perfect calibrations, that will make it so you complete ciphers a lot faster. Energy reserves is one of the buffs the explorer received after his initial release. Before that, he didn't have this ability. I wish this could be a bit better. It's not bad, but it's hard to maintain willingly. You get a speed boost of 1 second after not moving for 10 seconds, once every 80 seconds. Now, you might be thinking, I have to stand still for 10 seconds. That's going to be useless in the middle of a chase. And you're right. This skill is not to be used in the middle of a chase. It's to be used at the start of a chase. What this does is essentially you can play chicken with the hunter. If you're decoding on a cipher and you see the hunter coming your way, you can choose to try and bait out a swing or let him get closer, or even just book earlier and get even more distance. It's meant to give you distance at the start of a chase. Don't ever expect to proc this in the middle of a chase, because if you were standing still for 10 seconds, that means the hunter is either AFK, terrible, not even looking at you, in which case go and do something productive, or friendly, in which case do not bully the friendly. 1 second doesn't sound like much, but consider that both broken windows and knee-jerk reflex are for just 3 seconds at 10% faster, and they're still massive for making distance. It also comes in handy when the hunter is using teleport, because you see the little column that pops up when the hunter is teleporting, and you know that you can take this chance to escape. Now, for those of you who are blendettes in Dead by Daylight, or who just really want to emphasize the stealth portion, like me, you'd probably think use airwalk. And I do. So airwalk with Explore is kind of an interesting thing. I for so long honestly thought I left no trail. You do. You do still leave a trail, but it disappears in like half a second, which makes me believe that the base time for the trail to remain is 3.5 seconds. This does mean that if you manage to synchronize Explorer's silent vaulting alongside a broken line of sight and one of the speed boosts, you can make some good distance without the hunter ever realizing. And that's just been talking about the external traits. Let's jump into his item, fantasy. You can read through this, but I'm going to go through the essentials. The book allows you to shrink down to be like a quarter, a fifth of your normal character model. At the same time, the camera will pan upwards, giving you a larger field of view. This is very useful in open maps like Moonlit River Park or Lakeside in allowing you to see further, but those maps are so open anyways, you probably won't be using it for that. The biggest boon for this is that you're small enough to go and hide in tufts of grass, which means that maps without tufts of grass are not going to be your friend. You can, however, hide in pallets, like in the corner between the pallet and the wall. If you're crouched there, there's a small chance, or depending on whether the hunter knows there's an explorer nearby or not, a decent chance that the hunter will just walk right by you. Additionally, Leo's memory. This is something I still don't understand why, but opened chests do not have as much collision. You can shrink and hide inside of an open chest, while you cannot do that inside a closed chest. I've only seen this work in Leo's memory, not in any other maps, because Leo's memory has gift boxes instead of the regular chests. You've probably been reading through this or paused to read through it, so password pages. There are 3 in the map. The spawn points are predetermined, but you can only grab them in order, and which spawn points they use, random, like the dungeon. You dig one up, and then it's an instant, not an instant, more like 50% in 3 seconds. It does give the hunter a sound alert, and here's the full truth. In the time it will take for you to dig up a code, jump to a cipher, get that cipher to 50%, and then use that code, you could have just finished the cipher normally. This does not mean password pages are useless. Their best use is for popping a cipher that's in a dangerous location, like you're in a spot, you know this is a bad location against a hunter you're facing, you don't want to be here any longer, or you're decoding with a rescuer, someone's going down, you notice that the rescuer doesn't seem like they're going until they finish the cipher. You can rush the cipher, push the rescuer off somewhere else. That's what I use the codes for. To push me and my teammates into different directions. Now, let's look at the rumor for Kurt Frank. Once sailed across the English Channel, flew over forests in a hot air balloon, and visited countless wondrous countries. Kurt Frank's life is exciting as a travel novel. It looks like Kurt's hyping himself up, for good reason. Let's first jump through the story behind Kurt before I go into how you can get Kurt's deductions. I'm just going to flip through these before I start going in depth. Alright? Alright. So the first thing we see is kind of a childish statement, like Kurt's in the middle of like what a child would say when they're exploring a dark room. This must be a dragon's lair, I bet there's treasure, and he even mentions it. What I found in the dragon's lair, a torch. I take those stories too seriously. It seems like Kurt has a bit of disassociation with reality. The reasons for this can be seen when you dive in a bit further. It can be clearly stated. Kurt hates school. He's being pressured by his family. He didn't go to college, so he doesn't have a higher education. Most likely, he was just someone who couldn't sit still in lectures and believed it all to be a waste of his time. And the first line, I love it, beautiful, everyone is so kind. This is most likely when Kurt started traveling. And then the conclusion, a bill. He's got no financial security. He's in debt. He's got to pay them off and he's getting overdue fees. He spent time in barracks and he's been a recruit. I actually don't know too much about army structures, but what I can easily assume from this is that Kurt was in the military for a bit. In fact, if we look at his costumes, no. I'll dive into the costumes later. Ignore that. Voyage and Lost. These two. I get the feeling that Kurt might have been part of the Navy. Or just the regular military. I don't know. I don't know militaries. But he never lost his love for books. In fact, he chose to indulge in it in a way to make the drab and dreary atmosphere more vibrant. Because he doesn't miss the barracks. He misses the people there. He was a storyteller. He would spend his days while in uniform spinning tales for those around him, and everyone was captivated by it. But that's not always enough. They probably looked at him. Kurt probably was falling behind, failing in simple tasks, so made some big error which resulted in being ostracized, being viewed as useless, which made him decide that he will prove them wrong. He feels a bit anxious, so he tells himself, he forces himself to believe that he is a true explorer, that the stories he tells are the truth. They are him. He is not Kurt Frank the recruit. He is Kurt Frank the explorer, the hero. And then he made a huge mistake. I don't know what it would be, but whatever it was, it led to him being desperate to escape from reality. This is a point where I'm a bit confused because it says he's back in the school and he's desperate to get out. I don't know if this is just flashing back to his youth or if when he's a recruit working in some school. I don't know. In here, however, it looks as though he's completely decided to dive into his delusions. From my cursory Google searching, Don Quixote was a book character, and Kurt truly is believing that he was there, witnessing the battles that Don Quixote has been in and managed to escape successfully. He's become delusional. He's given up on reality. To him, the world of literature is all that matters. It opens horizons. It opens new doors for him. It's the only life he wants to live anymore. And that's why his item is a book. That's why he won't let the book's durability ever deplete. Because if he were to ever have his book disappear, he would be forced to face the cold, harsh truths of reality. And that would break the guy. Now I'm probably reading way too deep into this, but the costumes might lend a bit more into this. More specifically was it his A ranks or B ranks? I think they were A ranks. Oh, come on, server, don't do this to me. Right. Uh, God. Okay, wait. No, we're back. We're back. I was very worried I'd have to trash this recording. Should I trash it anyways? Nah. I want to keep things as natural as I can. So now let's dive into what to actually do for his deductions. First one, treasure hunt. It's a pretty simple one. Open 3 chests, then get a win or a draw. I would recommend that what you can do is search a chest, and then search a chest that's near a password page, so that if the chest pops up something you can use, and the hunter comes by after you dig up your page, you can use that item to escape. 50% co-op decode, 70%, 100%. Just get a team. Nothing more I can say to this. Get a team or just follow teammates, or dig up 2 codes, run to where your teammates are, and then burn the codes on the ciphers with them. Those count as co-op decodes. It gives you the points for them. I had this completed before the change came out, so I'm not 100% certain, but it should work. Encountering teammates. Basic. These are deductions which you can complete, and then it all comes down to, can you actually win or draw? Calibrations. Get time to decode. Just sit down at a cipher and actually decode. Don't always use your codes. You'll get it in no time. Healing teammates. This is a rough one, for me at least. You ideally would want to face off against a Joseph, so that you could heal your photo self or photos of your teammates, because those also count. Alternatively, if you've got teammates who can break chase, or you've got rescuers, you can run spectator. After a rescue happens, if it was successful, you can go heal whoever's not being chased, and then just get back onto your ciphers. Decoding progress. Your best bet for this is to get a team that's all focused on just kiting and rescuing. Forward, Prospector, Enchantress, Cowboy, Wildling. These guys would be your best friends. Alternatively, go for co-op decodes. If you ever see a teammate, just jump onto the same cipher as them. It'll count to your progress, and that way you don't have to worry about all the ciphers being done before you finish. I'm gonna be frank, almost every pallet's done I've gotten by begging the hunter to be friendly. Tactics you can use would be locust effect from the tide turner tree, baiting the hunter, getting a sneak slam by waiting at a pallet the hunter would be walking through, interrupting chases, or be good at pallet slamming. It's a skill set that any survivor should be needing to do, and Kurt doesn't have any debuffs on vaulting or pallet interactions, so if you can do it with someone like a doctor, you can do it with Kurt. Dungeon escapes. Dungeon escapes are something you're gonna need to cooperate with your team on. You need one teammate to have escaped from the gates, at least, so that the dungeon opens and it counts as a draw. You want to carry the call out, the dungeon is here, and when you see your teammates at the gate, just tell them the dungeon is here and pray they leave. If they don't leave, there's not much you can do. You're on a timer, because once the crows come, you gotta run. Try to get this deduction on small maps where you know the dungeon spawns. Red Church, Arms Factory, and Sacred Heart are the maps I would recommend. Escape from the hunter tree 1, 3, and 5 times. Hunter escapes always feel odd to me. Sometimes I'm in the middle of a chase, and when the hunter loses track of me, I go from 0 to 3. It kind of is odd. You just want to be able to break line of sight, get pallets, force the hunter to break pallets, take vaults, use knee jerk, use broken windows. Get yourself in loops. Make it so the hunter loses line of sight so the chase music ends, and that should count. Just run while shrunk. You'll most likely do this while you're going to get codes anyways, so there's no real science behind it. Kurt's deductions are simple, because his item is simple. You shrink, you disappear from the hunter's radar, you dig codes, and you rush ciphers. What position would I call Kurt to be? A decoder for certain. He is built to decode. He is built to stealth. He is not built to rescue. Oh, you can rescue with him, definitely. If the hunter is using peepers, you're most likely the best bet you have, since the book makes you immune to peepers. Well, to peeper the revealings, you still get the slowdown effect. But if the hunter is camping, you're not going to get anywhere unless someone else comes to play distraction. He can kite. He can do some seriously good kiting in areas like White Sands Street and in the portion of the Red Church and in the Red Church as well. You can also pull off some pretty good mind games in the hospital for Sacred Heart. But Lakeside is going to be a bit of an issue because the grass is not ideal. You might think you're hidden, but you're not hidden. Key point: do not sit still while shrunk. While you may be hidden from one angle, you can be visible from another angle. Shuffle around, slink here, slink there, circle the grass as the hunter circles you. This will maintain your energy reserves, and it will also keep the hunter from spotting you. If you see the heartbeat disappear, don't immediately leave. Look where the hunter left. Sometimes the hunter is just checking tinnitus range, and they'll circle right back to find you when you start running. Now the costumes. Now, Inventor is nothing too special. It's from the Call of the Abyss season, so that's why it's got a steampunk motif. Researcher, museum shelf. Most of these are just going to be going over different color palettes. Now, Kurt is a bit special in that his palette is something you're going to want to pay close attention to. Pinky Memory. Looks fun, doesn't it? Unless you're confident in your kiting ability, I would not recommend this. Your hair, your bag, your shirt, everything about this is so bright you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. Perhaps you could hide at pallets with his backpack while you're crouched, but you want to stick to dull colors. The worn clothes are a decent match, and I like Inventor because of its black color motif. Now, look at two of his A ranks. We have Alice, as in full on Alice in Wonderland style. His book is the cake which Alice would eat. We have Icarus, literal Icarus from Greek mythology. We have a sort of Indiana Jones, archaeologist. What's more, a professor, someone who is telling stories. Mr. Turtle, someone who is clearly looking like he's designed and acting like a hero. All of his A ranks, apart from archaeological professor, detach him from reality. They put him into positions which he is naturally not. The professor could just be... Heck, even the professor, his book is the Necronomicon. That book he's carrying is the Book of the Damned. Even more of a callback to fictional stories. I can't comment on his C-rank skins too much because they're C-rank skins, they're color palette swaps, and they're literally color palettes. All of his things are based on colors, while his B ranks are based on the events that were taking place at the time. His accessories, the unique ones he's got: alluring treasure, Lilliputian treasure, tiny, golden rose, but it's shown to be ancient. He also gets the phase shifter, which is literally a UFO. It summons a UFO for when you shrink and enlarge. I don't know why. I think the hunter can see it as well, which makes me feel like it's just a terrible idea. And a first aid kit. Things that you would use on a journey. Things that you would use as an explorer, find as an explorer. Delusional. That's my final statement. Most of this I'm thinking as I speak, and in my heart of hearts, I believe that Kurt Frank, he's a man who's just tired of reality. He dives into books, he looks for other worlds, he searches for adventures. There's a 50-50 shot. Did he come to the manor searching for a wealth that he can use to pay off his debts? Or did he come to the manor believing that it can validate him, make him a true adventurer, have him go on a proper journey, be a hero? Wait, I forgot to talk about the chair rescue deduction, didn't I? Where is that? Here it is. Not much I can say. Carry Tide Turner almost certain, unless what you want to do is farm. I don't like recommending this, and inside I ask of you, do not. If you're going to perform a face rescue, use Tide Turner. Your best bet would be to sneak close to the chair using your book, running and crouching between tufts of grass or behind obstacles. You could use sneak to get closer and get the rescue when the hunter is patrolling a bit further to try and get a different viewpoint. Of course, you gotta know that what you can't rescue. You are almost certain to fail at a basement rescue, and while a geisha cannot see you get the bubble above your head when you're shrunk, the feaster, the soul weaver, and the dream witch, why am I saying soul weaver? The feaster and the dream witch can still get the marker above your head to allow them to leech you or to give you the mark of Haster. I believe that's all I can really talk about. My preferred build for Explorer is this. Oh, god damn it. My stall build, because I intend to just decode, run, and hide. Server's not cooperating. Yep, I got disconnected. Oh well, I zoomed into it before. Essentially, it's exit path, broken windows, borrowed time, and max lightweight to allow me to escape from the hunter, stay hidden from the hunter, and just get to ciphers faster. And that's pretty much it for Kurt. I think I can do these. I've got 100% deductions on all my unlocked characters except for Doctor and Lawyer. So I can slowly chip my way through them. Maybe once a week I'll do this. Who knows? But thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!